family, thank you and welcome to the Community Nonprofit Network Podcast, aka the CNN Podcast. My name is Ericka Scott. I am your host, and I am also Executive Director of LifeChangers, Inc. And with me today is a gentleman who I have been looking forward to speaking with, Tim, who is CEO of Next After. However, I'm going to let Tim introduce his whole name just so I don't mess it up. Fair enough? So, Tim,
I know
it
much. Scares a lot of people, Ericka, but it's very phonetic. My last name is Kachuriak, and it's great to be with you today.
I appreciate you so much. You are awesome. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes. To date in this episode, folks, it is a brand new year, 2023, rolling in with a lot of great stuff. And I am going to ask you, Tim, just one question, and I'm going to hand the mic to you. So please give us your backstory and bring it up to what you do now. Go for it.
Okay, great. Well, so my name is Tim Kachuriak. I am the founder and chief innovation and optimization officer for Next After. And I work exclusively in the nonprofit space, but my path into the nonprofit space was a rather indirect one. And maybe some of your listeners will relate to this because I know a lot of us didn't start wanting to work in the nonprofit space, but we found ourselves there. So my story is I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, graduated from college at Robert Morris. And the problem is when I graduated from college, it was right after 9/11, which was a really, really difficult time to enter into the job space, especially for somebody like me that desperately wanted to work in the field of advertising and marketing. But fortunately, all during high school and college, I worked at a country club. And I like to joke that I had 432 aunts and uncles that were captains of industry. And so when I needed a job, I called Uncle Joe. So Joe Blattner happened to be the president of the country club. He was also the president of the second largest ad agency in Pittsburgh. I went and met with him down at his office downtown. I did my little dog and pony show. And he got all excited, and then he started to wring his hands and look down. He's like, look, I'd love to hire you, kid, but we just laid off 30 people yesterday. 9/11 hit our industry hard, our agency harder. I'm sorry, I can't help you. And so that was my experience coming out of college. I spent 6 months wandering in the wilderness, just knocking on doors and begging somebody to give me an opportunity. And I happened to meet a gentleman who was a serial entrepreneur. He had a number of small businesses that he operated. And he said, look, maybe you could do some marketing projects for some of these little businesses I operate. I said, that sounds great. And then he looked at me and he said, why don't you start a business? And I said, well, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, well, I do. We have an incubator on the second floor of our office building. I'll give you a desk. I'll be your partner. I'll introduce you to people, and the rest is up to you, kid. And so I'm like thinking, that sounds great. I mean, I'm living in my parents' basement. I have zero overhead. I have zero prospects of jobs. I hadn't even met my wife yet, my future wife. So I was like, okay, this sounds great. And so I started a business out of college called Ambience Interactive. We started off just doing general marketing projects and then gravitated more into doing more digital type of things. And I did that for 5 years. I moved out of the incubator. I had my own staff. I learned a lot about getting customers and keeping them happy and, making money for payroll on Friday when you don't have it in the bank account on Monday. Just so many life lessons about running an organization. But about 5 years into it, I started to become a little bit restless. And right around that time, my church was doing a capital campaign to go raise a few $1 million to build a new worship facility. And so I volunteered my agency to do all the marketing materials for this campaign. And it was the first time that I was doing something that I felt like I was wired to do, marketing, but doing it for a cause that I cared about. And Ericka, maybe you had a similar experience. Once you kind of get bit by that bug, it's hard to go back and make websites for car dealers and law firms. So after that experience, I was like, I had this crisis of career. I'm like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And right around that same time, a good friend of mine had just made a big, bold career move himself. He was a certified financial planner. He shut down his practice and he went and he took a job as the executive vice president for a nonprofit organization in South Florida. And so I called him up on the phone. I said, hey, man, what's going on down there? He's like, you should come check it out. He's like, I just hired this new guy. He's my VP of ops. This guy's a legit rocket scientist. He went to MIT. His last job was sending satellites into space. You totally would geek out with this guy. He said, you should come, just see what we have to offer. And so I leave Pittsburgh. There's 6 inches of snow on the ground. I get to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and my interview is at this place called the Aruba Beach Cafe. It's right on the sand on A1A Avenue, and like the sliding glass doors are open and the sea breeze is going through my hair, and the waves are crashing on the shore, and like the guy's playing the bling, 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 bling. And I was just like, I remember calling my wife. I said, honey, I think God wants us to move to Florida. And so, long story short, I ended up getting a job offer. In the matter of 45 days, I sold my house. I sold my business. I moved from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. At the time, we had a 16-month-old and my wife was 8 months pregnant. So it was a crazy time. The day I got there and showed up for the new job, the founder of the organization, who had been there for 35 years, had a heart attack. Now, I should point out, Ericka, that correlation is not causation. At least I hope not. I hope I wasn't the reason for the heart attack.
Oh, wow.
But needless to say, we went from a $36 million a year organization to 18 in less than 12 months. And it was a crazy, crazy, crazy turbulent time. I was hired to do digital outreach and communications. And they said, look, whatever you're doing on the internet, figure out how that stuff generates new revenue, new donors. And so that was my first violent shove into fundraising, and I didn't like it. I felt like, fundraising was like a necessary evil, like the dark side of nonprofit work. I didn't understand it. But fortunately, I met another gentleman that operated a marketing company called KMA Direct Communications. They're based out of Dallas, Texas, and they were our marketing agency for our nonprofit. I had no idea that this even existed, that there was like these fundraising agencies that help nonprofits raise money. And I got to know the guy a little bit. His name was Tom McCabe, and he said, I don't know what your future looks like here, but we could sure use a guy like you in Texas. Would you consider moving there? He's like, we've been doing direct mail for 35 years, and we're desperately looking to move into this new digital space. And I said, well, I don't know fundraising. He's like, well, we don't know digital, so we can help each other. So in 2008, I moved to Dallas, Texas. And again, my wife was 8 months pregnant now with our third. We had a 3-year-old, a 16-month-old, and we moved from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Dallas. And I took a job at KMA Direct Communications. And it was there that I really started to kind of learn about just the beauty of fundraising. I mean, fundraising is awesome. It's an incredible, ministry, if you will, because we get to inspire people to give to causes that stir their hearts. We get to take people out of this consumerism that they're constantly just bombarded with and give them a moment of pause to say, I could spend all that I have on myself, or I could give a portion of what I have to meet the needs and desires and interests and wants of others. And I think that that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, fast forward a little bit. I was at KMA for about 2.5 years. We got acquired by another agency called the Pursuant Group. I was there for another 18 months. And between those two experiences, I became obsessed with trying to figure out how do we optimize fundraising. And that's what ultimately led me to start what I do today at Next After. And Next After is a fundraising research lab. We're a consultancy and we're a training institute. And we work with some of the largest nonprofits on the planet, and we help them to really optimize their digital fundraising performance.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, how, that's a lot, but let's unpack it. So now, talk to us, who do you work with? First and foremost, how do you choose? Because I can only imagine that you have a waiting list of, hey, come work with us, help us, right? So how do you choose who to work with?
Yeah, so the nature of the work that we do, digital fundraising optimization, it really requires organizations that have scale. So the clients that we work directly with, they're very large organizations. So, upwards like of $50 million annual budgets, upwards to $1 billion. But the challenge for me is that I have such a heart for serving all nonprofits of all shapes and sizes, especially the smaller ones that don't have the resources of the bigger organizations. So about 6 years ago, we started a second division of our organization called the Next After Institute. And what we do at the Institute is we take everything we learn from running these large-scale experiments with large organizations, and we distill it down into different training resources for smaller nonprofits. So we create templates and guides and ebooks, and we do webinars twice a month, and all of that content is 100% free and available to all nonprofits.
Awesome.
We've also developed 9 different certification courses that takes the things that we learned from our research and testing and turns it into these training programs that nonprofits can do as on-demand online training. So.
Wow. So, okay. Oh, wow. That is okay. Well, then talk to us about this and your experience from going from pretty much, I don't know anything about fundraising. I don't know digital to what you know now. What can you share with nonprofits like myself, new or struggling? Because this is who this podcast speaks to, either new nonprofits and still in the idea phase. I think, there's some good I want to do. I'm supposed to do. I was called to do. I want to get started. And we'd like to share free and low cost resources and just the things that were so hard for me to find, for others to find. And there's like no one-stop shop, but
Right.
It sounds like you offer a one-stop shop solution for nonprofits who are, which we all have to do, needing that fundraising edge. So
That's right.
Give us 3 tips that you can share with us, please.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, and this is going to sound very simplistic, but it's actually quite profound. People give to people, right? They don't give to websites. They don't give to email campaigns. They don't give to even organizations. People give to people.
Right.
And one of the challenges that we have as nonprofit organizations is that oftentimes we approach our work from very much an organizational centric point of view. We think in terms of one to many when we need to think more in terms of one to one. And so what we really preach and teach is trying to help people to humanize their communication with their existing and prospective donors. Let me give you a very, very practical example. This is something that every single person in your audience can do. So I specialize in digital fundraising. That means like everything that happens online. And the largest source of revenue for all nonprofit organizations when it comes to online is email fundraising. Email fundraising is the most productive form of digital fundraising. And yet, if you look at most nonprofit fundraising appeals, fundraising emails, they look like, ads for Walmart, right? They send these very templatized emails. They've got images and graphics and templates and like, big buttons that you click and all that kind of stuff. And the problem with that approach, which everybody does, is that when a potential donor sees an email like that in their inbox, all they see is somebody trying to market to them.
Right.
But people don't want to be marketed to. They want to be communicated with. People don't give to email machines. They give to people, right?
Right.
And so something that we've tested in our fundraising research lab, and we've run over 4,500 experiments.
Wow.
And we've run the same test with dozens of organizations. We've done it in different countries. We've done it in different languages. We'll test taking that highly designed email and running an alternative version. We'll do an A-B split test. So 50% of the email file gets version A, the original, and 50% gets version B, which is the new treatment. And the new treatment uses no images, no graphics, no templates. And we even encourage our clients to rewrite the email so it sounds like it's coming from one human to another human. A very, very, it doesn't sound like, just, in God voice. It's very just like, hi, Ericka. I hope you're having a really good day. I wanted to tell you about some of the really incredible updates that we've had with our program and, blah, 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 love Tim, and then what we do is we'll run that A/B split test. And what we find is that approach, that plain text email outperforms the highly designed email by 300, 400, 500% increase in donor response. So that's one thing that everybody can do is just simply simplify their email communications to their donors.
One thing, and I'll pause you there because I know you're giving us another tip, and I'm not going to cheat the listeners from that. But I'm a Christian business coach, mm-hmm. and again, even in nonprofit work, I deal with clients who are new, starting, and we have to wear all those hats, the hats. You're the accountant, you're the sales, you're marketing, customer service, and so you go to companies, I refer, hey, MailChimp, free account, blah, 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 over 500 free templates. And those templates include those big buttons. And, but how do you explain to somebody, I know you're new, I know you just came from, working in a daycare or a school, nothing about graphic design or coding or websites. But you can't go with that template because it's just not going to work. How do you balance that?
Well, I mean, there's reasons why the plain text version outperforms the template. Like one is that, reason I gave you, that people give to people, not to email machines. So that's one. But there's also a very technical reason why the plain text works better than the HTML version. And the reason is that most of the people you're sending emails to have a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or an AOL account. And all of those email service providers, they have their goal is to provide the best service to their customer. Their customer are the people that are using their email service. And so they know that means like most people that use email services don't want to receive a lot of spam or unsolicited messages.
Right.
So what those email service providers do is they look for HTML code and images and graphics inside of emails, and they will take those emails out of the inbox and they'll put them in the promotions tab or they'll put them in the spam tab, right? And so one of the reasons why the plain text works better is simply because it gets delivered to the inbox as opposed to some of those other places where nobody ever looks. So that's a kind of a technical reason why, it works as well.
Okay. Fair enough. So don't worry about being a graphic design artist and putting the big buttons and using a template. Just write as if you're writing to your mom.
That's right. Okay. So tip number 2. This is universal regardless of whatever kind of channel you're fundraising. This could be face-to-face fundraising. This could be direct mail fundraising. This could be email fundraising. This could be I'm having an event or a banquet and I'm, giving a message from the stage. The most important thing that we found from our research that moves the needle in a significant way is how effectively we communicate our unique value proposition, right? Okay. So the question that I have to ask all of my clients is, what is your value proposition? And when we ask that question, what I typically hear is people talking about their mission, about their vision, about their values, about the things that they do. And I said, I'm sorry, that's wonderful, but that is not a value proposition.
Right.
The value proposition is an answer to a fundamental question that every single donor needs to hear the answer to, but they're rarely going to ask you. And the question is this: if I am your ideal donor, why should I give to you rather than some other organization or not at all? And when I ask that question, oftentimes I get a pause. They say, let me think about that for a second. I said, you shouldn't have to think about your value proposition. So one of the things I would encourage everybody that's listening to do is to get together a group of their staff or their board or even a group of donors, even better, and get them together in a room and run through this exercise. So ask every single person to list out as many potential reasons why somebody should give to your organization rather than some other organization. Get as many as you can. I mean, you might come out of that with 50, 60, 100 different claims of value. And then the next step of the exercise is you have every single person get out a piece of paper and they number each of the value claims. And then they're going to score each of the value claims based on how appealing they think they are to the ideal donor and how exclusive, meaning how many other organizations could make the very same claim. If it's a lot, it's going to have a lower score. If there's very few, it's going to have a higher score. So have every person do that. And then have everybody share their answers. And what you're looking for is tight grouping, where you're looking for people that score things like, I said it was a 5 and you said it was a 5. Okay, great. We've got agreement. Or I say it's a 5, you say it's a 4. Okay, that's close enough. But if I say it's a 5 and you say it's a 1, okay, we have a difference of perspective of what that value claim means, right, and it creates some discussion. So what you do is you're looking for what are your most appealing claims and what are your most exclusive claims. And once you have that collated down to that list, then what you need to say is, okay, what are the third-party credibility indicators that prove that these claims can be trusted, that they are true? What is the data? What are the facts? What are the figures? What are the testimonials? What are the bona fides that can actually prove that these things are in fact trustworthy and true? And once you do that, what you'll have is the framework for a value proposition argument. And I call it a value proposition argument because remember the question I asked you, if I am your ideal donor, why should I give to you rather than someone else or not at all? That requires you to give an argument response because we are the only organization that does we do it this way. We've done it for this many years. We have this many success stories, blah, 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 blah. You're basically creating a reason why somebody should give to you. So that would be the second thing I would say is the most important thing that we have every single one of our clients do is go through this value proposition development exercise.
Okay, let me pause you there.
Yeah.
Not sorry to cut you off, but I got to pause you there because a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand. Well, what does make me unique? And again, we're speaking to new and struggling, and struggling might be because they don't understand that. So, what kind of exercise would you give to somebody, again, just coming out of teaching school, who is now wanting to, start a dog rescue?
Hmm.
What exercise would you give them to shape their, is it still called a UVP? I think.
Yeah. Value proposition. Yeah. Value
Okay.
prop. Right.
How would you tell them,
Well,
think about this?
I mean, my question to them would be like, okay, why, what is it that you do that's different than how other organizations are doing it? Because if you can't give me a good answer to that question, I would say go work at that other, dog shelter. You know what I mean? Like don't go and start another one, because that's actually just diluting the effectiveness of what you're trying to solve. But if you have a unique way of approaching this, or maybe for example, you have a unique geography that you're serving, that's one way to create exclusivity. We are the only organization in, Denton County that is doing XYZ, and we do it XYZ different than other organizations in our area. So like you have to have something unique. If you do not have an only factor, then I'm sorry, it's really going to be difficult to get donors to respond and give to your cause.
Awesome. Excellent. And hopefully that did answer, it answered it for me, but, like I said, a lot of people that I work with, even in nonprofit or for profit, are like, well, I like doing this and and sometimes I'm, say, well, maybe go find someone else who's doing the same thing, get that experience, understand how it's done. You don't know business, you don't know blah, blah, blah. Get the experience first. Okay, so now moving on to tip number 3, please.
Okay, number 3, another very practical thing. So that second one was very strategic. The first one was pretty practical. This last one's going to be pretty practical too. And it actually requires you to do the second thing I said, which is the value prop. If you have a website and you have a donation page, and even if you don't have one, go look at some other nonprofit organization's donation page. And what you'll probably find is that they don't have a lot of text on that page, right? It probably just says donate now, maybe has a sentence or two, and then there's like a donation form. And the form, you fill out your payment information, your name, your contact information, you hit the submit button, and then it, sends your gift to the charity. Well, the biggest problem we think that exists with most nonprofit donation pages is that they don't have enough text on that page, right? And what that means is when we have looked at data across the nonprofit sector, what we find, less than 20%, it's actually the number 17% across the industry, 17% of the people that click the donate button on a nonprofit organization's website actually complete the donation. And so you have to ask the question, why? Why is that? And the reason why is because on that page, if they don't have enough text that explains their value proposition, that page is all cost to the end user and no value. So what do I mean by that cost? Well, there's obviously the material cost of the money they're donating, right? But there's also the mental cost of having to go through and fill out that pesky form with my information and, email. And do I want to make this in honor of somebody? And what gift designation do I want to choose? There's all these decisions I have to make, which causes cognitive friction in my mind. And so if there's nothing there reinforcing the reason why I should continue that process, I'm probably going to bail. And that's what happens with about, 83% of the people that come to a nonprofit organization's donation page, is they just bail out of the process and don't complete the donation. So once you go through your value proposition exercise, take what you've, uncovered about your value proposition and write out several paragraphs that lays out the lucid, compelling reasons why somebody should give to you. And when we've tested that and A/B tests, we've done it like thousands of times. We find it increases results, 50, 60, 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000% increase in donations, depending on, what text and what cause. But it makes a huge difference how you articulate that.
Wow. Okay, so on the website, we can have the big shiny button, donate now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And oh, wow. That's okay. Whew, you just, because of course that's one thing. Giving Tuesday didn't wind up as as fruitful as we had hoped for. We were brand new to Giving Tuesday. So, but people asked, well, it didn't work out. What could I have done differently? And honestly, I'm new to this part. So I'm like, I'm saying that
Right.
I went and looked at some others myself. But, okay. So now, help us understand why what you do and what your company does is important, and how can we use that, use your free resources, even if we're not a client, because again, we're new and, new in this. So we don't have
Absolutely.
50 million revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me tell you about like the two types of research we do. So we do like forensic research and applied research. So the forensic research, basically what that means is we're always analyzing large amounts of data across the nonprofit sector. And what we're looking for in the data is patterns that lead to opportunities to unlock greater digital fundraising performance. But the problem with our research is that the kind of data that we're most interested in analyzing either doesn't exist or it's not readily accessible. And that's because what we're most interested in is trying to experience the charity, the ministry, the nonprofit, the NGO from the donor's point of view. So to capture that perspective, what we do 2 to 4 times a year, we'll launch one of these major mystery donor studies. So as the name implies, we'll go subscribe to hundreds of nonprofit organizations' content at the same time. All shapes of sizes, all different verticals. We'll subscribe to their content. We'll monitor everything they send us. When they ask us to give a donation, we'll go online to their website and we'll go through the process of giving an online donation as small as $20, as large as $5,000. And then we continue to monitor how they communicate with us over time. And what we're trying to understand is where's the gaps in terms of how nonprofits communicate and relate to their donors. So we take everything we learn from that and we use it to power the other kind of research we do, which is the applied research. That's where we run the tests, the experiments, the A/B experiments, and we test this versus this. And we're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. What we have come to grips with, which is really hard for a lot of consultants, is that I'm not a fundraising expert. Nobody is. The only experts are the donors themselves. And so what we have tried to become experts at is how to really listen to donors through their behavior. And the main way we do that is through running all these experiments. So if you go to our website, you'll find that we have open sourced a very good portion of all of our experiments. I think we have over 2,500 of our experiments that are published on the website. It's free. You don't need a password. You can just go log in. You can scroll through all that content. But to make it a little bit easier, because who has time to go scroll through 2,500 experiments, right? Probably not you, Ericka, right?
Not to offend. I was going to say quiet.
Right. So what we've done is we've taken everything we learned from research and we've tried to distill it down into very practical tools. So for example, we have tested over 1,500 different donation page, templates. And based off all those experiments, we have created an ideal starter template that any nonprofit organization can go take and apply to their website and use, right? And it's based off of all of those thousands of experiments. We've created guides if you're doing Facebook advertising. Like here's the specific things you should put in each of those different fields, and here's all the different tests we have to back it up, and here's some principles of like how you should message that and what the call to action should be and how you should, how much text to use and how many images and what kind of images. Like we've tested all that stuff. And so we've created these simple little tools to make it easier for other people. If you want to go deeper, there's ebooks that kind of go through, a little bit of light training. If you're saying, okay, I want to figure out how to grow my email list, what are 7 different ways I can do that? We've got resources like that. And then if you really want to go deep, we've got, these online courses. There's 9 of them, and you can take any course from like copywriting for the web to how to use Google Analytics, how do I turn Facebook likes into donors. We got courses on all those different things, and they're anywhere between 4 hours and I think up to 6 hours. But they're all available as on demand, so you can use them at your own, at your own time and leisure. And then if you really want to, kind of like push the envelope, we host a conference every year called the Nonprofit Innovation and Optimization Summit. It moves from city to city every year. It was in Kansas City last year. It's going to be in our home city of Dallas this year, which is really exciting. First time we're doing that. And this is where we bring in digital marketing thought leaders from all over the world to come pour into our nonprofit community of about 1,000 nonprofits. to really give them new ideas and new insights that they can use to power their communications in their program. So if you want to access all that stuff, really just go to nextafter.com. It's all available there, and you can go and, have a ball.
Okay. Wow. That is absolutely, and all of that is absolutely free.
Yeah. The courses, we have, usually have sponsors that will sponsor the courses. So we'll have like a rotation of which courses are free each month. And then they're like, I think they're like $200 if you want to take one, just one off. But if you just wait every month, we switch out with the free courses.
Okay. Talk to us real quick about the certifications you were speaking of earlier.
Yeah. So the certification courses, we offer CFRE credits for each of the different, courses that we create. And if you take the core curriculum, there's 4 courses. There's email optimization, landing page optimization, A/B testing for nonprofits. And I think the last one is, maybe content marketing. If you take those 4 courses, you'll earn your CFOP, Certified Fundraising Optimization Professional designation, and we'll send you a box of goodies, and you'll get your little, moniker for your website and things like that.
Okay. And is there a cost for that?
To take the 3 courses, you can do them, you can do it over time and just wait for them each to become available for free, or you could pay, I think it's like $50 a month or something to go do it. So if you could do it in 3 months for $50 a month.
Okay. Awesome. So now, this year here, what have you, if anything, discovered that nonprofits need to be shifting between the economy and, and as a believer, the wealth is shifting from them to others, us, I've never seen the righteous forsaken. How would you, even for, we're not, my nonprofit's not faith-based. I am, but there are faith-based and non who are still trying to figure out, okay, how do I need to get ready for this? Not just for fundraising, but overall to stay alive, because we're supposed to be going into a recession, and then maybe, what suggestions can you give?
Yeah. So if we think of like the groups that we work with, they spend an enormous amount of money on new donor acquisition. So the whole kind of, I guess, Achilles heel of the nonprofit space is that donor attrition is very, very high.
Yeah.
It's anywhere between, 60 and 80% of your donors you're going to lose every single year. And so the way that most nonprofits solve that is that they just keep spending more and more money on acquiring new donors. Well, the problem is as you head into a down economy, as you mentioned, we find that when we've seen this historically, like back in 2008, 2009, donors don't stop giving, but instead of giving to 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 organizations, they only give all their money to like their top 3, right?
Right.
So the question is, how do you make your organization in the top 3? And that's why I think, the big focus for most organizations this year needs to be on retention rather than acquisition. We need to find ways to continue to build relationships with our existing donors, and that may mean more frequent communication that's not asking for money, more thank yous, more here's, an update for you, more here's a story for you, more here's a question I have for you, like more engagement kind of stuff. So cultivation is probably one of the best things that you could be working on now as we head into this down economy.
Okay. So, as far as, let's stick with emails, because I do know for forever, other than, sharing, just telling one person to another, email does provide the highest ROI. So what is the sweet spot? You don't want to bug them even with just a, hey, how you doing? And this is what we're up to, but at the same time, you do want to kind of stay top of mind. So is there a sweet spot? How many per year? What would you say?
Well, honestly, it's a question that I get often, Ericka, and really there is no silver bullet answer for frequency. We have some organizations that send, at least one email per day. We have some that send, emails like maybe just one per month, right? Or one a quarter even in some cases. What I would say is that there is guidelines and things that we've found about how frequently you ask for money. So if you are going to send a solicitation, like an email that's asking for money, you need to send 3 emails that don't ask for money, that do something else, that asks a question, that provides value, that gives a resource, that, shares a story. It has to be 3 to 1 is the rule. So 3 cultivations to 1 solicitation is really the best guideline I can give.
Okay. That's, isn't that what, Gary Vee wrote his book on? I think it's, what is it? Jab, 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 give or punch.
Yeah. That's right.
Awesome. Okay. So now, is there some kind of formula that you have found in your research and your studies where we as nonprofits can kind of like, even though I may have a program that costs $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
but and I had this discussion with somebody for Giving Tuesday. They had a set amount of like $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Help us reach our goal. I'm sure you see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay or nay? Do you put in a number that you're trying to help get to or not?
Yeah, we've tested that extensively, actually. And what I would say is, number one, yes, having a very defined goal can be a helpful, tool to get people to help complete that goal. However, I would not put the thermometer or the little, indicator on the website I would say definitely do it. I wouldn't do it until you've at least crossed 60% of the goal that you're trying to raise.
Gotcha.
Once you get past 60%, then what happens is there's this kind of like people want to see things completed, and they especially want to be part of like, making goals, be reached, right? And so what we found is like it is helpful to use thermometers and countdown clocks and all those kinds of things, but wait until you're in kind of like the more than 60% towards your goal. The other thing I would say is the countdown clocks. I kind of mentioned that together, but they're 2 separate things. Like if you have a deadline, like for example, we just had 12/31, 2022, which is like the biggest giving day of the year. It's not Giving Tuesday. It's December 31st for every single nonprofit on earth. And the reason why is because that is the tax deadline, as you all know, and like that's if you're going to get the tax receipt. But having a countdown clock, we have this many days, this many hours, this many minutes, this many seconds, is a very powerful device. We've tested it in emails. We've tested it on websites and landing pages and donation pages. And we find that it does actually make a positive impact on moving people to give. So those are things that you definitely should use.
Okay. I know that the countdown as far as like next webinar starts and, that kind of thing. How, other than 12/31, is there another way that you could use the clock? Somebody might be interested in that.
Absolutely. You can create artificial deadlines anytime you want. We do it all the time. Like, one organization we work with, they run like a tax day campaign every year. So on December or whatever, it is April 15th. I don't even know what it is. It keeps moving, but it used to be April 15th, right? But April 15th is tax day. And so we'd have a countdown clock that would run till December or to 12 o'clock midnight on the 15th, right, of April. Or you could do it if you have like a fiscal year end, right? Some people's fiscal year ends at the end of June, right?
Right.
That could be another natural deadline. Or you could do something around something like, okay, it's Mother's Day or it's Father's Day or it's, whatever. I mean, you can use other holidays and have a campaign that runs up to that specific date. So, leverage the calendar.
That is awesome. Any other cool, besides the thermometer and the clock, any other cool, like little hacks that we can use?
I got another one for you. So
okay,
this
please.
is crazy.
Hey.
On most donation pages, like they have like the form where you put in like the payment information. Right. And one of the things that we've tested is just where you have the credit card information, not like the, address and all that stuff, but just where you put in your credit card information, which is the most sensitive information you put in. We've put a little gray box around that area, and then we put a little padlock icon in the corner. Now, that page is not any more secure by putting a gray box and a little padlock there. We literally just Googled the word padlock on Google Images and found an image and stuck it on the page. However, it creates the perception that my transaction is secure, and we've seen that have upwards of 20% increase in donations.
Wow.
Just in a simple little thing.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, padlock folks, you hear that? Wow, wow. That I know that some of MailChimp's, because I've used their templates and some of their components you can put in there. I forget what it's, secure it or something like that. And it has the padlock and that for that same reason, but I never thought about that on a donate page.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You got another one?
Oh man, how much time do we have? So, and emails. One thing that we found is that personalization actually matters, right?
Okay.
So what was the Dale Carnegie quote? Like, a person's name is the sweetest sound they'll ever hear in any language, right?
Yes.
So that's true also when you send emails to people. We have found that when you actually personalize the email, like Dear Tim, Dear Ericka, it actually makes a difference. And the most outrageous example we saw when we tested it was like 116% increase in click-through to the email just by personalizing the person's name.
Wow.
So things like that can certainly make a big difference. When it comes to also email marketing, most people, and I think MailChimp has this built in where you can experiment with testing different subject lines.
Right.
But the number one thing that most people look at before they decide to open an email is not the subject line. It's not the preview text. It's the sender. So experimenting with different senders. If you're sending an email from your organization, like so if your sender name is, XYZ organization, change that to Ericka Scott. And you'll see a difference in terms of open rate and click-through rate because, again, people give to people, not to organizations or email machines. So simple things like that can make a difference as well.
I noticed when you spoke on subject lines that now everybody is doing all lowercase. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I don't know if we've specifically tested uppercase versus lowercase, but I have seen that's a trend.
Yeah, it's especially with political, and maybe it's because I'm in Georgia and we had a runoff, so we got a little extra, juice in that area. But even, and I won't say his name, but even a name, which is supposed to be uppercase, and it just came instead of Abe, Scott, it just said Abe, lowercase, right. And I was like, okay, but now you look like, a 1-year-old who doesn't know how to, a first grader who doesn't know how to write. That doesn't. But
Ericka, you remembered it. You remembered it so much that we're talking about it on a podcast. So it made an impression on you. And that's honestly like in the instant when you think about it, like I'm looking at my email inbox right now. I have 24,327 emails in my inbox. How am I going to prioritize that? If something is slightly a little bit different, does it maybe give me a moment of pause? Does it catch my eye? Does it cause me to open? Now you got to be careful with stuff like that because we don't want to be, clickbaiting people and tricking them. Because the worst thing you could do is trick somebody into trying to give to your nonprofit organization.
Yes. And yes, exactly. You're right. We are talking about them. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's too bad he lost, but, okay, so now, because we are running short on time, so tell us one last thing. What would be your number one top tip for a brand new nonprofit to get in front of their ideal donor?
Okay, so this is great because I actually started a nonprofit organization from the bootstrap phase, and I think this year our budget's like $26 million. So I've been there, right? I've been there at the very early startup phase. And what I will tell you, the most important thing that you can do is ask people for advice, right? If you ask for money, you typically get advice. If you ask for advice, you oftentimes get money or connected to people that actually have money to give to your organization. So when I was starting up my nonprofit organization, I put together a PowerPoint presentation and I would go and gather people together and I'd say, hey, can I get your advice? I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this to, potential donors. And I would walk them through this presentation that would lay out my organization and the value proposition. And what I found is that everybody would say yes. Nobody would be like, oh no, I can't do that. Cause people love to give their opinion. They love to give their advice. They love to dispense with that. Especially people that are, people like me and you that run businesses. We love to get, that's why I'm on your podcast now. Cause you're asking me questions. I'm like, here, I got answers,
Yes.
So you can use that to your advantage. And so I would take that presentation and I would do that. And then people are like, wow, this is really amazing. You know who you need to talk to is this person. Let me connect you with them. And so that's how you start to build your network and you start telling the story to more and more people. I did that over and over again. And we were like, bootstrapping. When I say bootstrapping, I mean, like we went on, like I packed up my family in a van and like we went through the panhandle of Texas, going to like one little small church at a time and literally collecting money and that jingled, that didn't fold. You know what I mean? Like that was how bootstrappy it was.
Wow.
But through the course of those different, interactions, I kept getting connected to people. And then somebody one day said, look, I just met this this newly minted billionaire family and they are looking to support organizations that align with, what you're trying to do. I think that they'd love to meet with you. I was like, wow, okay. And so I went into that meeting and I walked them through that same presentation. At the end, they said, how much money do you need? I said, I need $3.2 million. And they said, here's $3.2 million. So, you never really know. I mean, that's obviously like an incredible, amazing, success story. But the point is that when you go and get people's advice and you keep getting reps of telling your story, you get better and better and better. And that advice, right, you can take it and you can use it to change and tweak and optimize your story. But ultimately, that's going to get you more and more connections around your circle, outside of your existing circle, and hopefully lead you to people that have capacity to give that transformational gift.
Well, that's awesome. Tell us real quick, what does your nonprofit do?
It's called the Human Coalition, and basically we work in the pro-life space, and we're helping, with families that are, dealing with that issue.
Okay. Well, we're about to get out of here, Tim. You have been absolutely awesome. You have my mind like, oh, okay, as soon as we get off, I'm getting to the website. But please share with us, how can people contact you, consume the goodies that you're sharing so freely, and your website and email, please.
Sure. Well, if you can spell Kachuriak, you can just type it into Google and I'm the only thing that pops up, but that's usually more challenging. So if you just go to nextafter.com, nextafter.com, you'll find all the information. You can reach me and all of our resources.
Okay. And do you have a phone number by chance or no?
Actually, we don't. Being a digital company, we don't even have a single phone in our office.
Okay. Well, for those, is that the same contact information that someone who might want to work with you would use? Okay.
Yep,
okay.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I truly appreciate you joining me today and getting in front of our audience, because this was a great high level conversation that we needed to know. A lot of us just started in, how many nonprofits were started during this pandemic. And again, that bootstrapping, I don't know, but I'm going to try it. God led me, it's time. And like, okay, well, what happened? So that conversation was definitely needed. And I appreciate you so much. And hey, hats off to you, your nonprofit, and the work you do. And please keep us posted. I'm going to have you on again, because mid-year now, there are things that change, and you're in the digital space. Yeah, we need to know what's going on.
Right.
And especially with the economy taking the turn that it's taking, but we won't go there. So you have a great rest of your day. And, I look forward to, staying in contact with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ericka. Enjoyed talking with you today.
All righty. Thank you, Tim. Wow. Was that some information to soak in and just marinate on, or what? Oh, Tim was awesome for sharing that, and we really appreciate him for coming on, and we definitely appreciate the studies and the research that he and his team do to help even small nonprofits, struggling nonprofits. Some nonprofits have been out here for over a decade, but are somewhat stuck because they're not up to date on the latest trends and donor mindset. And we're going to definitely have to have Tim back on to let us know the updates and the latest as far as the economy and the recession that's happening, not happening, depending on who you listen to. However, there are people who we are looking for to support us financially, who are paying very close attention to housing, to the stock market, to things that drive them to either donate or not. So it would behoove us to pay attention to the experts like Tim and those at Next After and what they're coming out with, even though their clientele consists of the $50 million nonprofit organizations. Um, why wouldn't you do what a $50 million nonprofit organization does, right? So, hey, you can learn from anybody. You can learn from anybody. So, yes, that was awesome information, and hopefully you appreciate it for what it is, and that is golden. Amen? So now, if you would like to be a guest on a future episode of the CNN podcast, great. Visit our website, thecnnpodcast.com. Click the Be a Guest tab and complete your information. Someone will reach out to you. If you would like to advertise on the CNN podcast, either on an episode and or on our website, and be seen and heard by thousands of people each and every month, great. Again, visit our website, thecnnpodcast.com, and click the Advertise tab, complete your information, and we will get in touch with you. So, folks, I hope you appreciated yet another episode of the CNN podcast, bringing you information to help your nonprofit grow and expand and get the knowledge, the free and low cost resources that we all look for to grow our nonprofit. That's what we're here for, not to stay stuck. If you need help in any other area, please don't hesitate to contact us. Go to our website, thecnnpodcast.com, click the Contact Us tab, and one of our teammates will reach out to you to see how we can help you. We ask that you support us by liking and sharing and subscribing to our podcast. Please, if you know other nonprofits, each one teach one, bless one, folks. If you know other nonprofit organizations or even community organizations who could either use the information we share or who might want to come on and be a guest, please share us with your friends, your family, and your online community. We truly appreciate that. So, as always, folks, until next time, be awesome and be blessed.